This Sunday marks the start of our fourth appointment year here in Mineral Wells. And that's a little bit of a joke among all the clergy in the area. Because kind of once you hit 4 years, you're a long timer. You've been there a while. And we've hit that 4-year mark. And it is interesting going to conference this year and talking to people about that, because as you imagine, all of us pastors get together when we go to conference and we talk about the churches we've been at and how long you've been there, and someone would come up to you and say, "Well, where are you going this year? How long have you been there?" and all this fun stuff. And it's interesting. You go and there's always two responses once you've been there somewhere for a little while. It's you go up and you say hi to one of your friends and they say, "Oh, awesome, you're still there at such and such church." Or you go up to another friend and you say, "Oh, I'm staying at my current church," and they say, "Oh, wow, I feel like you've been there a really long time." And it's kind of like when you're out and you're doing something with someone, let's say a small thing like getting married. And after a decade or so, you have an anniversary and the comments come back in. And there's really one of two ways you can state that to people. You can say, "Oh, wow, the time has just flown by." You know, when you're having a good time, time goes so quickly. Or the other one, which I've accidentally used before as people have congratulated me on an anniversary. "Oh, wow, it seems like a lot longer than that. You've been married for 10 years. Oh, wow, it seems like a lot longer than that." Just don't say that around your spouse if that ever is what slips out of your mouth. But in some aspects, being here has been a really relatively short thing, and in some aspects it feels like it's been a long time. And one of those is the elephant in the room, so to speak, of not just for Mineral Wells, but our whole community, and that's the Baker Hotel. And I've kind of danced around that subject since they've announced it's coming back in sermons and up here in the chancel and the pulpit. But I want to meet it head on this Sunday, using Psalm 30. Because there are a lot of people, and myself included when I got here 3 years ago, that would look across the street and would tell you it is never going to happen. And in fact, it's more than about a building. It's about something in a person's heart, and that thing is cynicism. I am one that is readily, if not too much so, available to be cynical. And I have a feeling I'm not the only one who struggles with that. It's so easy to explain away the good things that happen, the joys and the blessings that come our way, to focus on the rainy days, the struggles, the difficulties, the sorrow. And I won't lie, when I first came to our community 3 years ago, that cynicism crept up very quickly. And see, the problem about it is it's like a small seed that's planted in your heart, cynicism is, and it gives way to doubt so very quickly. It's like the weeds that get blown in your yard. If you've ever tried to keep a yard free of weeds or a garden bed free of weeds and grass and all that stuff, it's exceedingly difficult because it blows in from here and there, and you'll pull it and you think you got it, and then you'll turn around right after it rains again and you'll see 20 more weeds pop up. You'll see part of the garden bed completely covered in grass again, and you'll go back to the task of weeding. And eventually, time and time after again, it finally becomes monotonous, or you lose interest and you walk away. And that happens so often with our own hearts when we allow cynicism to creep in. It happens so often in my own heart when I become cynical. That I look at the world around me, not seeing the possibilities God has laid out, but seeing all the ways that I think they can be defeated. All the ways we won't succeed. The psalmist calls us to remember a simple fact this morning. that God has the power, as he says in verse 11. You changed my mourning, M-O-U-R, mourning, into dancing. You took off my funeral clothes and dressed me up in joy. God has the power, if we allow him, to take all of that negativity we see, the cynicism that sprouts up in our own hearts and minds, and transform it into something better, something good. That's a process we have to go through to get there. It doesn't just happen. See, I think the issue we deal with